Some actors play villains. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is one. Not in real life. He's probably lovely. He owns a candy shop, for God's sake. But on screen, he's the kind of guy who shows up and immediately makes you nervous for your favorite character. He doesn't play evil like a mustache twirler. No. He plays evil like a man who's already made peace with his dark side, filed the paperwork, and is now giving HR-approved executions. Jeffrey Dean Morgan isn't acting, he's manifesting malevolence. He's the human equivalent of a smirk and a bat. He walks into a scene, and suddenly the vibe turns from hopeful optimism to, we may not all make it out of this alive. The man has built a resume out of being too good at being bad. And not in a charming anti-hero way either. In the, this guy is enjoying this a little bit too much kind of way. His smile isn't warm, it's warning you. His voice doesn't tremble with rage, it purrs with the confidence of someone who has a crowbar and a point to make. And when he talks about justice, you can be sure someone's skull is about to get well acquainted with gravity. Let's talk The Walking Dead, a show that gave us drama, survival, and a rotating door of increasingly exhausted protagonists. And then, Negan arrives. Not with a speech, but with an execution. He doesn't just kill a character. He breaks the show's spirit, like he's trying to discipline a misbehaving golden retriever. And the worst part? He's so good at it. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't shout. He gives monologues like he's introducing a TED Talk on psychological warfare. Lucille, his barbed wire bat, is technically not a speaking character, but she somehow still has more screen presence than half the cast once he shows up. And his delivery? Every sentence sounds like it's wrapped in bourbon and cigarette smoke. He doesn't speak lines, he rolls them around like he's tasting them for flavor. When he says,
I hope you got your shitting pants on,
it's not just a threat. It's a vibe. It's a genre shift. It's like your TV went from horror drama to Southern Gothic villainy in 0.2 of a second. And even when he's not threatening people, he still talks like a man who thinks every conversation is foreplay for murder. But maybe you think that's just a one-off. Maybe that's the exception. Surely he doesn't carry that same chaotic, neutral menace into everything. Let's correct that right away by diving into Invincible, where he voices Conquest, a role that crystallizes all his on-screen malevolence into an intergalactic war machine. Conquest isn't merely an obstacle. He's the culmination of every nightmare about absolute power. In their first encounter, Mark barely scratches the surface of Conquest's armor before that signature Morgan delivery cuts through.
That's a start.
It's not screaming, it's a calm proclamation of dominance. When Conquest drills a pathway through half the city to find his quarry, you feel Morgan's personal investment. This is his violence, and he's savoring every moment. Later, after pummeling Invincible, he looms over the beaten hero and murmurs,
This has been an immense joy.
It lands with seismic intensity because Morgan's voice is drenched in contempt. He brings a twisted gentleman's courtesy to genocide, neatly tying every syllable into a noose. Next up, let's wade into The Boys, where Morgan skates on the razor's edge of psychotic self-reflection as Joe Kessler, the hallucination-turned-conscience of Billy Butcher. In the nearly abandoned warehouse confrontation, he casually walks off as he tells Billy,
That is home.
There's no grand reveal flourish, just a calm, bone-chilling assertion that Butcher has been wrestling him in his own mind. He isn't just taunting Butcher, he's exposing the rot inside him. In another scene, soap fresh from Butcher's last murderous spree, Joe pries deeper.
So don't you think it's time to cut the shit?
It's a confession and an accusation all at once, delivered with the parasitic intimacy of someone whispering in your ear while you sleep. Morgan doesn't need to change appearance, his aura does the heavy lifting, making you question whether he, or you, is the real monster. Now in Watchmen as Edward Blake, the comedian, Morgan takes villainy nuclear. The moment he quips,
You could have turned the gun into steam, the bullets into mercury, the bottle into goddamn snowflakes, but you didn't, did you?
it's not a joke. It's an execution order delivered with the crooked grin of someone who's already torn your throat out in spirit. And when tells Owlman that their duty is to protect society from themselves, you recognize that line as less absurdist quip and more manifesto. Life is meaningless, so grab a goose and laugh. Morgan's comedian isn't a parody of evil. He's the distilled essence of it. every laugh track echoing through the rubble of his own making. Let's circle back to Negan in The Walking Dead and dig deeper into how Morgan reshaped the role. He didn't just give us a new baddie, he reinvented the concept of TV villainy. Prior to Negan, walkers were the threat. After Negan's debut, people looked at each other and realized he was the real danger. Morgan layered in humor with every slash of Lucille. He toyed with his captives, parading them like show ponies before delivering knockout barbs, and in doing so he turned Alexandria into the world's most terrifying dinner party. By the time he swaggered off, coin hanging from his jeans, he'd taught audiences that a villain doesn't need supernatural powers, just the confidence to make everyday cruelty feel like cutting-edge entertainment. Beyond TV, even in films like The Salvation, Morgan brings that same venom to Henry Delarue, the corrupt frontier magnate who sees violence as civic service. And in The Losers, where he plays Clay, and he drapes neon cynicism over the team's motley schemes. In Rampage, he morphs into Agent Harvey Russell, the government man speaking in national security bullet points but dripping contempt for anyone misguided enough to care. He intones,
You see, when science shits the bed, I'm the guy they call to change the sheets.
not as comic relief, but as a declaration of his worldview. Collapse is opportunity. In conclusion, Jeffrey Dean Morgan doesn't just slip into a villain role, he carves it out of granite, etches it with cruelty, and mounts it above every bad guy who followed. He's the cautionary tale textbooks quote before chapters on evil. When he adjusts his belt buckle or offers you a half smile, you know your next thought is going to be, how badly am I going to regret trusting him? Because he doesn't just play the bad guy, he is the bad guy, a symphony of menace composed in leather, bourbon, and revealed sins. So, is he too good at playing villains? No. He's just good enough to make you tremble at the idea he might be real.